What would you like to do if money were no object? How would you really enjoy spending your life?
Welcome to the Datsusara podcast.
If you say that getting the money is the most important thing, you will spend your life completely wasting your time. You'll be doing things you don't like doing in order to go on living, that is, to go on doing things you don't like doing.
Okay, here we go. And we are live here with Mr. Nathan Orchard, who I haven't spoken to in many years, but looking forward to catching up with. For those of you that don't know, 10th Planet Jiu Jitsu black belt. I think, do you guys do degrees over there? I
I
forget.
mean, I am a third degree black belt. Yeah.
Yeah, because you've been doing this a while. So I think you've been, I mean,
Been a
you
black belt for 11
in
years.
general for like over 20 years, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, again, a black belt for 11 years. But I've been on the mats doing combat sports from wrestling, MMA, judo, jujitsu, all of it. 25 years, man, on the mats.
Man, that is a long time. Oh, we lost your video. Weird.
Hold on, hold on. Let me get it back here. Boom. Okay.
Oh, there we go. Cool.
Nice.
That is quite a while, and I'm looking forward to digging into your history a little bit because there was a lot that I didn't know about that, and I caught a little bit of it on another podcast, and I went, "Wow, that's you've had a unique journey." Started pretty early too. I mean, was there before you got into pretty much making this your lifelong, passion and career and everything else? Was there a time where you were thinking about doing anything else with your life, like a normal job or anything like that?
I mean, honestly, from 10 years old, when I was 10, I just wanted to join the military. I wanted to be like an Army Ranger, Special Forces, something like that. I wanted to go all the way, And then I shattered my ankle when I was 17. And after that surgery, it was so incredibly painful. I said out loud, I was like, I wouldn't wish that on my worst enemy. And then I was like, oh, maybe I can't go to war and
Yeah.
and mess people up. So I decided, ironically enough, to become a combat athlete. But
How
the
did
goal is not to hurt, right? The goal is to just win.
Yeah.
Sometimes people get hurt, but
How'd you shatter your ankle? I gotta know that one.
I was playing football. I was making a tackle. It was 2 days before my senior year, and yeah, I'm making a tackle, and my buddy right next to me fell on my leg, and then I fell 180 degrees. So my foot was completely backwards. I grabbed my leg, and I couldn't see my foot because it was behind me,
Oh God.
and it was pretty traumatic, man. It really it changed me.
Yeah.
It made it so that I never wasted my health again.
Hmm.
I never stopped training once I got better because I knew what it was like to not be able to move. So I just never stopped.
Yeah. Yeah, I bet. I mean that'll definitely do it. Yeah, even me just sitting here with this broken toe, I'm so frustrated 'cause I'm like, man, I don't like sitting on the couch for too long. I mean, I'll spend a little time studying something or whatever, or watching a good movie, but yeah, I take being able to move around and train really, that's what it, gift that we can do that and yeah, I don't like not being able to at all. So yeah, that's wild. Okay, so you shatter your ankle that and then you decide like you're gonna go into combat sports instead of coming back and going to football or whatnot.
Well, it's because I think I didn't get to play football or wrestle that year, and
Hmm.
so I just like never got that competitive fire out of me. Like I really wanted to do something in football and really do something in wrestling. I was going into it ranked into wrestling, and then I just didn't get to do it. And I was like, all right, I gotta, I guess, prove it to myself or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
Um, I mean, I had my first fight when I was 16, so before I broke my leg, right? So I had my first fight in 2004,
Like an MMA fight, essentially.
an MMA fight.
Okay.
Yep, yep, an MMA fight. I mean, and he was like a 21-year-old man, and he armbarred me. Um, and so then I broke my leg, and then after that, again, I was like, well, I guess the thing to do now is fight. So I went and had 20 more fights, and then I decided I want to get ranked in jujitsu. So kind of went from there.
Yeah. So and when you were having those fights, so you hadn't had you done any kind of like striking training, jujitsu training, anything like that? Like how did you just decide to jump into that?
I had 10 fights before I decided to get with a striking coach.
Wow.
Uh, so
See,
After that, I mean, before that, I was just kind of a tough kid, and when it was the craziest thing because when I broke my leg, I just watched a lot of MMA,
okay.
and I just realized I'm like, well, a triangle choke is just getting your leg over someone's shoulder. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? I was like,
Yeah.
I can do that. Cool. Oh, an arm bar is getting their arm between my, yeah, easy. I can do that.
Yeah.
And so with no formal training whatsoever, I had 10 submission finishes in
Wow.
MMA. And that's just figuring it out.
That
And
is,
then that's what I was like, how do I get ranked? And
yeah.
I Google some stuff and I find 10th Planet and I get ranked online by Eddie. I think I was one of two maybe people to ever get, belted online from Eddie. Um,
Yeah, I hadn't heard about that program, so I heard you mention it in the one of the other shows, and so there was like a Ronin type 10th Planet option.
there was, yeah, these criteria we had to meet,
Hmm.
and I met them, and it was crazy, man. I got my blue belt, and I'm like, done, did it, boom, did it,
Yeah.
successful life.
And then you went down and trained with Eddie for a little bit, like after or I mean, did he basically essentially tell you you already had that, and then you went down and trained, or did you go to get that?
So he posted a video on the forum, and
Mhm.
he's like, boom, he held up a blue belt. Nathan Orchard change out white belt status. You're a blue belt. I'm like, oh damn, that's cool. And then 2 weeks later, I went and trained with him for 2 weeks, and
Mhm.
I walked away with my purple belt.
Yeah.
And then 14 months at purple, 10 months at brown. I mean, I competed nonstop the whole time, did really well. Got my black belt in 2014. Yeah, that's right.
Wow. That's impressive. So you clearly are wired to understand this stuff well in some manner. Do you feel like that was something you really work to develop, or did it come kind of natural? Do you think there's something in your life that sort of geared your brain to be able to, because for some people, understanding jujitsu and myself probably until recently, I'm getting a little better, but I mean, we just feel jujitsu retarded where it's like it's so hard. It's simple, but it's so hard to get it through the head and transfer it to the body and do all that, which clearly, you were able to do that with, fluidity.
I mean, I just lose a lot of sleep over it. I lay in bed thinking about it and I can't stop thinking about it.
Yeah.
It's a problem almost, you know what I mean? But it works out, so I've done like millions of mental reps,
Yeah.
over the years of just what I do understand. I don't, and sometimes like I don't know, I guess I am able to just like in my mind, I'm on the mats and I can practice moves.
Hmm.
That's just how it works for me.
Yeah.
So I can see things and I can understand them and do them. But I was not a natural grappler. I think if anything I had that was natural was just I was stubborn
Yeah.
more than anything.
Yeah, that helps. I think a mixture of stubborn and obsessive definitely helps in general in the sport. I mean, where whatever you put your mind to, really. Yeah, that is interesting because and you definitely. I mean, your jiu-jitsu is not exactly I mean, simple. I suppose in some ways, but it's pretty like when I
Yeah,
see what you're working on stuff.
agreed.
Yeah, it's like near psychedelic. Just like what is going on? Like your flows and the way that I've seen you work through things. I mean, it's really, really, really interesting stuff. So that is like it's almost hard to. I can't even imagine being able to picture that in my mind half the time.
Yeah, I don't. I guess I have had to sort of accept that maybe I do have a gift. I
Yeah.
mean, it's never necessarily felt that way
Mhm.
because I've always wanted to just like prove stuff to people and
Yeah.
myself and everything. But like, you know, I think I think that deep down I wanted to be like the best grappler in my bloodline. You know what I mean? I just wanted to be like I wanted to be better than my dad, my uncles, and my granddad and everyone. I don't know. There's something I
Yeah.
just love it. When you're doing jujitsu, you just all your other problems are gone. You know?
Hmm.
So,
That is true.
you know,
Yeah.
I got a lot of problems, I guess. So I like to ignore them and go do jujitsu. I don't know.
I absolutely understand that. There are days. I mean, I spent a lot of years off the mats, and I transferred most of that into golf. But it wasn't quite. I mean, you can obsess pretty hard on that, but it still wasn't quite at the level, obviously, of jujitsu, where especially once you're on the mats, like everything really does or can go away. You can really just be there, which is yeah, that kind of forced meditation
So
almost. It's
so primal. you
Yeah,
know,
absolutely.
it's so primal. It just takes us back to like the our animal nature more.
Yeah, yeah, which I think is it's something important to stay in touch with. I think when people lose that completely, I don't know, it changes. It's some kind of lack of grounding in reality when you don't face that, I think, on a semi-regular basis, or at least at some point. Yeah, yeah. It's very interesting stuff, though. Like yeah, it's been interesting to see your jiu-jitsu develop and some of the things that you're working on. And now you're over working on judo as well, I noticed. So
Yeah,
that's
I mean, it's funny. I actually was just showing my kids; they were super bored by it. But my old one of my old MMA fights, and I threw a Haraigoshi, and I'm like, oh, I I've been doing judo long before I knew I was doing judo. I mean, I've just been doing the combat sports, and it all just, you
yeah,
accidentally just do it sometimes. And I wrestled, right? And so no one said Haraigoshi or Uchimata or any of these things, but
hmm
like I was doing them. So, now doing them with like intention, and when you can like articulate something that you already knew, it becomes that much stronger.
yeah, hmm
But that's what's happening with judo. It's just like, oh yeah, okay, like I intuitively knew a lot of these things, but by defining them,
yeah.
they just are that much more of available tools.
Yeah, that's good stuff. I definitely, I think for myself, that's part of where I struggle just with things in life in general. It's the articulation and the refinement of things that there's a lot of things that I feel like are up here and I'm aware of them, but then trying to get them out or really, lay them out. It's why I've always, I think, has struggled in school. Let's say, it's like, okay, I could go through a whole course and feel like I gathered some of the wisdom of that. But then if you want to throw me through a test or something and it's in a dead kind of setting, it's tricky. And I'm the same way in jiu-jitsu. It's like I might be doing these moves, but if you sat down and said, show me three of these from here, I'm gonna go, oh wait, okay, hold
How
on.
how do you feel that you learn best? Do you like wordy explanations? Do you want the instructor to not talk and just show it a bunch of times, or like where do you learn?
It's a good question. I have definitely found, I think that for me, it's a lot of times it's the big concepts that help me out when it's more like rather than like if I get too detailed down into a technique, maybe I can work with that and eventually memorize it. I mean, like I did that a little bit when I started getting into rubber guard, which is probably the only sort of non-fundamental jujitsu that I use. But that, I mean, I just did it so many times that it's like, okay, I got used to that and I memorized it and just, but as a general rule, I've noticed lately, and it's really only recently because the first 13 years or so that I trained before I took that long break, I felt like I learned very slowly, if at all. I mean, it was just that's why it took me, I don't know, 9 years of on and off training to get my blue belt, and then I'm at 4.5 year blue belt now. But I've learned a lot more recently, and I think a lot of it has come to finally because I'm finally putting together the concepts a little better. It's like, oh, okay, like. Or even just simple things like, hey, what's the big thing when you're trying to deal with side control? Well, all right, get on a side, get an underhook. Like you just tell me that, and then it starts to kick in. Or like I've been watching a lot of Chris Burns, and it was like, oh, the hip escape position, but then where it applies from how many different areas. It's like that same kind of kickstand leg out, things like that. Or, hey, you want to, in this position, it's more important to keep the shoulders down and the hips down. That's what you're trying to do. How you do it is not, if I can separate out the complication of specific 10-step techniques and just get back to like really what's the basic and then maybe I pick some technique that I feel like jives with me and I kind of work through that and positional training, positional sparring, that has helped me learn more than maybe anything else. I wasn't doing that until very recently, and I asked Henry Akins about that. I was like, hey man, I don't want to be an idiot and take another 9 years to belt up and keep progressing. And he said, well, but like do positional sparring. And I went, well, oh, really? Okay, I hadn't thought about that. And luckily, our one of our co-instructors over here at SPG Texas, the next day, she like, hey, I'm gonna start this positional sparring class. What do you think of that? And I went, yes.
Wow, love when that happens. That's crazy.
Right. Yeah, it was wild. So yeah. So I'd say yeah, positional sparring and then just for me bigger concepts so that I can start and where they connect is where I learn the most generally.
I've recently realized that I learn the best I don't like static drilling, like dun, 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 dun.
Hmm.
And whatever the ecological thing that is basically positional sparring to some degree, right?
Right.
With different whatever restrictions or whatever. But
Right.
I find that creating flows works well for me. So I like to just link moves together and then I try to just move seamlessly through them.
Yeah.
And I don't that's just what makes sense to me. It's almost like a mix of the two because it's not static, but
Hmm.
yes, it is drilling a preset path,
Sure.
but eventually you end up going really fast through it. Yeah, so I don't know. That's to me, it's the most fun. The whole like just move for move, like we're playing chess or whatever. I don't. It doesn't resonate.
Right.
Yeah. So
Yeah. Yeah.
moving through.
I agree. Yeah, and it's interesting. And you have a great way of doing that. Like I was watching, I was just watching before we talked. I was like, oh, I wonder what, Nathan's got on mind. And I was watching that Stuart Cooper film that they did, and you showing some of those flows that you did and the way you connect through positions. And like you said, with speed, I mean, but that it's not like spazzy, sloppy speed. It's like just really flow and just it's really beautiful to see. I mean,
I try to harness that calligraphy behind you on your wall. You know what I mean?
right.
That smooth, like not bumpy sort of thing. And yeah,
Yeah.
it just feels good in my body.
Yeah, that's really great. And I mean, I think too, when you can make those connections and have those, you've got different answers, different pathways from every position that you're in, and you know how to connect those. I mean, that really like that opens up.
I mean, it's like think of this: when someone's sitting down in butterfly guard and you're standing above and you step in with your right foot, you can attack a rolling kimura on their left arm. You could attack a backstep kimura. You could snap their head and attack their neck. You can lift their ankle and attack their right leg. You can backstep their left leg. So from putting just my foot in, I have this like crossroads
Yeah.
of each limb that I can go to. And so it's just like build from that, So you got one flow that way and that way and that way and that way. And, you know,
And when you were kind of building up that sort of framework in your mind, that, those connections, I mean, did it, I'm wondering what really helped you click all of that in? Because I mean, that is it, when it becomes to it, how'd you get to like an instinctual level with it? Because I imagine you're not stepping up and then going through all those and going, huh, which one should I do? Let me think of technique A, B, C, D. I mean, you're probably just feeling it and you just go. It's like you see a road and you, phew, you know?
I mean, that's basically it,
Yeah.
And I feel like the part of my brain that like when I play video games, I create systems or habits.
Ah,
And so it's just like a video game. It's just like, oh, I know this path, this path, this path. If this reaction happens, blah, 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 blah. You know what I mean? So
yeah.
yeah, it's just it is like it is habit, but it's also a feel,
Mhm.
that there's certain triggers and that those triggers set me down that path. As
Yeah.
soon as I feel that thing, that's the trigger that boom, now I go that way. But I
Hmm.
guess it's just because I've drilled it a lot. And yeah, I mean, yeah,
Yeah.
that must be it, is just stepping in and hitting those reps as fast as I can. And I've been doing this for so long, I've had time to
Yeah.
focus on a specific game for long periods and then go on to other game and other, you know what I mean? And eventually all those different games, they've come together over the years.
Yeah. Yeah. I like too that it's interesting. I was digging because everybody's into trashing on ecological now and or back and forth and either or. And it was, and I finally dug into it because I hadn't really looked at it that much to see what the hell are they talking about. But it's funny how I feel like, okay, the ecological guys, they're a little bit on to something, but I don't know why they've got to go. They're complaining that everybody else is 100% one way, and then they do the same thing where they're like, no, 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 you have to get, we're not doing technique. And I'm like, what? If we had a balance here, that's exactly what good training would be. Some just,
It's not this, it's not that, it's not both, it's not neither. It's like all of it. And for certain periods of time, like maybe just, dude, just a constant flow, right? Like I think the craziest thing to say is this is the way. There
right.
is no way. It's the way of no way. It's the way of always. Like,
Yes.
I don't know. Bruce Lee said a long time ago. I don't know why we're still arguing about it. It's crazy.
Yeah, I know, right? Yeah, it's funny because I mean, so many people. got into this because of either, a lot of people came from the Bruce Lee kind of lineage. Yeah, and it's funny how they've forgotten that basic thing. It's like, hey, yeah, whatever. We're taking what works and getting rid of what doesn't, and it's not,
Constantly changing our strategies or our routines or our mindsets. If you're just stuck in one mindset forever, that's crazy talk, dude. Like
yeah.
I changed my mind 1,000 times on how things happen, and it all works together eventually.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. It is interesting that it's keeping the exploration going. That's certainly important, and it can be difficult. I'm still learning how to enjoy the journey and not just think about, oh, I've got to get to this, get to this, get to this. Because I actually, for me, like in video games, very good at them, but I do tend to be a bit of a like, okay, gotta like go through. Here's my quest over here. Get that done. Get that done. Okay, and then I'm like completionist, and I've got to get each little part. But I like getting things secured and then moving on. So I have to watch that because even if I do that in jiu-jitsu, it's like, oh, am I just going for, let's say, the next belt or the next what? It's like, and then all of a sudden that makes the journey not fun because I turned it all into like this weird kind of job where it's I mean, you want goals, but you also want a bigger, broader goal that is to keep moving through, not to
I
just
mean, what happens when you uh, complete a goal? You
right.
forget about it and you move on to the next one. So it obviously had nothing to do with the goal,
Right. Yes.
So no, completely, man. I mean,
Yeah.
the cliches, they are true. It isn't the destination, it is the journey, but
Yeah.
man, it's so easy to get caught up on results and all this
Yeah.
stuff.
It can be, yeah, and definitely, yeah, one can overdo things or go too hard and try and grab something, and you get there, and then you go, I need a break, or lose focus then there, and I'm definitely trying not to do that, but I think I've done okay with that because through this injury, oddly enough, I'd like all I want to do is go and sit and watch classes now too. Like I was a little worried that I'd have an injury and then just go, screw it, I'm gonna go dig into something else again. Or one of my friends was like, you should just get a video game since you gotta sit on your ass anyway. And I was like, oh, I really shouldn't. Because I'm really into this. I'm on one of those obsessive waves and I'm like, I want to keep riding that, although I'm hoping this is a permanent kind of ride now. So
I mean, maybe the goal should be to just hit moves and
yeah,
hit techniques. You know what I mean? Like that seems like a cool goal because
yeah,
that also never really ends, and
yeah,
jujitsu doesn't end. And that's why they, I think Stuart Cooper called it the infinite passion. Cause like I was just talking about how, dude, like there's no beating this game.
right.
There's no beating it. And because whenever I beat a game, I kind of hate it.
Yeah.
Like old school, like, dude, it took me years to beat the original Zelda.
Oh yeah.
And then I
Definitely.
finally beat it and I'm like, oh,
Yeah. Now what?
that's all.
Right.
So thank you for saving Hyrule. Dope, dope, dude.
Right. Yeah, that's true. I think that is one problem sometimes when if you treat, yeah, like let's say jujitsu like a video game where you're like, oh, I've got to just try and beat it or something. That's not happening, and and it's a bad way to go about it. But it is, and yeah, it's nice when it remains appealing enough that when you really finally get your head in it and you really figure out how to love it properly, to just keep moving along and sure, enjoy your little milestones, but yeah, know that it's an infinite pool and it's gonna keep going.
And dude, more than people are talking about reps, reps, reps.
Hmm.
Yeah, but intentional reps. And how do you have intentional reps? By being present and by really feeling the reps and not just looking at the clock and wondering how long we have to do this. Yeah, I get it. It's boring and monotonous sometimes.
Yeah.
But if you can just kind of like shut that part of your brain down that feels bored
Hmm.
and just keep feeling it and keep feeling it and man, that's the intentional reps.
Yeah, I love that. And I think somehow, I don't know, I think my time in golf has helped me oddly enough with all these things because not only that one was definitely one of those ones where you could be really, really great and it's still there's so much more. Like it's really hard to be good, first of all at golf, but it's also just it's a never ending thing and you're never going to be perfect and on any given day it's tough but it also made me even in that like little details you could obsess forever on like oh the perfect chipping technique or whatever how to do this thing and same thing and then when I came back to jiu-jitsu after that long break now I don't find myself as often like almost never really looking at the clock even though we're doing like oh we're doing foundations class again and this is the same thing I've seen I don't know 50 times and it's just the same
Like
old
good. perfect. Do
Yeah.
it.
Right. I know. Now I get excited about that. I'm like, ooh, I can keep refining, refining. There's going to be something else, some little thing or something that's going to make it more functional or less effort or just better, more effective. And I find I'm fascinated with that. Like, and I just rarely do I care what time it is. So it's been nice because I know before when I was training, there was a lot of that where I was one of those guys that, yeah, I preferred to just show up to the open mats. I'd like, oh, I don't really want to go through class again. And part of that, to be fair too, was that the kind of training that I wanted to do, I was often at schools where it was a lot of like gi and sports stuff that I just wasn't, it's not my personal focus. So I would just be like, ah, I don't care. I'm not going to use that, you
Your
know?
personal focus for more like real life scenarios, possibly.
Yeah, I'm more of like I want the self-defense, the real fight scenario kind of thing. And I don't have anything, against the sports side at all, and I find it fascinating and sometimes fun to watch sometimes. And but yeah, that's more of my thing. I always want to keep that in mind and and sometimes like luckily I've got at least one person over at the gym now where we like to do a little bit of jits with hits, and that's I love like that excites me more than, than a lot of things like just to remind myself I'm like, oh, okay, this is what I'm really trying to do and even just going back to doing that again, like it reminded me why sometimes open guard is useful, which I used to just completely blow over open guard. I just wasn't something I ever developed. It was always like, close guard or get him to half, whatever, and didn't care about open guard. But then I threw strikes back in. I was like, oh, yeah, okay. Reminds me of a lot of why these positions are good. And actually made me feel good about rubber guard too, because I thought that was kind of a like sporty thing. And then with the hits involved, I used that just fine. Like it was actually quite useful.
I mean,
So,
you must have heard that's why Eddie was doing rubber guard because he thought he was going to have to do MMA.
right.
All right, so it's like, no, dude, it's made for jujitsu with hits. Sure.
It is, and it's a funny thing because it gets discounted a lot. I don't think people quite realize that, and unfortunately, not a lot of people have utilized it, in MMA very successfully or tried. And it feels like whenever they do, they don't. It's not something they've spent a lot of time on most of the time. There's some exceptions, but yeah, it's I do enjoy that. But yeah, that's where I like getting into spending my time on but then I look at some of the stuff you do and I'm like, man, that's fucking cool. I wish I could move like that. I mean, I could, but it would take
You can. That's the thing about
yeah.
it, dude, is like that's one thing that that break falls has really opened up for me is just bigger movements and not getting hurt, dude. Like I'm telling you, dude, I've gotten weird about break falls. Like I don't know why I love them so much. I think because I realize that they are the price of entry for higher learning, and I want that. And a lot of people don't want to put in that work because it sucks until
Hmm.
you're good at it. Then it's like, oh, damn, this is doing crazy things for me.
Yeah.
So, and it's a building process. You don't just start going balls to the wall, dude. You build up and they slowly build and they slowly get more dynamic, and then confidence builds in your body. And yeah, it's a game changer for me.
Interesting. So this is just training. This is like is a separate. So are you just talking about training, basically going through the break falls of all kinds and just spending a lot of time?
There's way more break falls than people even know, and judo doesn't even get fully into them. I started studying Aikido to learn more break falls because they're the real break fallers. You know what I mean? Like their ukemi is like next level.
Huh.
Um, so, and it can
Interesting.
get wild, wild and dynamic, and it's not just like the back break fall or the side. There's
Sure.
some crazy stuff.
Yeah, that's very interesting. I was going to ask you about that because it does seem like the way that you move, you don't seem to be prone to a lot of injuries. It seems like it would actually be pretty smooth and gentle. I'm sure you've had your fair share of injuries, but I'm wondering too now that I know you're younger than me, but you're getting old enough that you're probably trying to figure out how to train this for a long, for the rest of your life and not end up with 20 surgeries and that kind of thing.
That's right. And I have been relatively healthy compared to some guys.
Hmm.
I actually just had my first knee surgery this year, and they just had to cut out a little meniscus. But
Yeah.
yeah, there is something about it that my style that has kept me safe. I'm either winning or I'm out. That's how I try to like play.
Yeah.
I try not to knife fight too much, and
Yeah.
but yeah, just overall movement. Like you must do some yoga because that is some of the best jujitsu training there is, I feel.
Yeah, that's true. It's actually I'm kind of doing isolated pieces of it, but I need to get back into a full routine of that because I found that the yoga especially kind of undoes a lot of the things that we do in jiu-jitsu where and normal life where you're constantly, haunched in and over and your body just gets stuck that way. Like I was the only thing I've suffered from besides this unfortunate broken toe is just a general like hip and back pain where it was making it hard to sleep at some point, and because I just too much, and especially if I played more guard, which I was trying not to do as much, but that was getting tough. And that I guess the good thing with this break is I've gotten back to like now when I watch the classes, I'm pretty much just stretching most of the time and like doing different, yeah.
It sounds like that's what you needed. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
it probably is. I've been trying to look at it like that. Like, okay, there must be something I was supposed to get out of this. Like, I needed to take a break or something and figure some shit out. So, yeah, yeah,
And it wasn't a major break. It's just like, okay, your toe. And it's like,
right.
cool.
Yeah.
Now that's enough to not ruin your life, and it's enough to get you off the mats, get you doing what you need to do and change your perspective. And dude, sometimes when I've come back from injuries, I come back better than I was because
Ah,
something comes together. Your subconscious is doing other learning and problem solving while you're healing. And so, I mean, injuries are a part of training, period.
yeah,
You're
yeah,
not training right now.
right.
This is part of it.
That's good to hear that because I've been feeling like that lately because in sitting and watching, I mean, I've spent some time, watching obviously different instructional videos and things like that and going to seminars and whatnot. But having this time off where I'm strictly just watching it from afar, I feel like things are clicking. I feel like when I get back out there, I'm going to be a little bit better in some ways. Like you said, okay, maybe the cardio is going to take a sec to get back, but really that shouldn't be the focus. I ought to be able to do this without using that. And I think there's certain things in my head that feel like they're connections that feel like oh, okay, like I'm understanding some positions better just by watching and keeping my head in the game. But then, like you said, and even just almost doing reps in the mind, and just going through that. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
So have you done much judo?
I have done very little, and I mean, I'm glad that where I'm at currently at SBG Texas with the Michael Hines, especially he had just released a whole thing on Fanatics. It's like takedowns for the rest of us, but it sounded a little bit like what Justin from JFlow has been talking about a little bit with like emphasizing, things that if you want to not be as risky, emphasizing, arm drags and different ties and things that might not, be as extreme. But yeah, judo, when I first started, which was back actually close to when you started, our school was run by, they were two, actually, I think all three of them were blue belts, but two of them were black belts in judo. So I did do some judo a little bit, but boy, that was always that was always the scariest class. I was doing full MMA training, but the judo scared the piss out of me because, man, when you get thrown over somebody's head and you're just like flying in the air, oh crap, like that's, yeah.
Well, and that's one thing that I think Justin has done, such a good job on is like making incremental, teaching how to get those incremental gains to where it should never be scary. If
Mhm.
it's too scary, then you're skipping ahead too far, and it's just like, there's so much to do before you even do big throws, but then when you get to the big throws, all the little pieces that they come together and make it like smooth. Like
Yeah,
being thrown, look at Aikido guys. Like they're just so smooth. And it's a bunch of like old dudes a lot of times.
true.
Like really,
Yeah.
and it's like, dude, that can be trained, it can be trained. And a cool thing about it is you can do it by yourself. So if you can't get on the mats with someone, dude, I've put in hard sessions just with break falls and movements.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean,
Interesting.
you can get a lot out of it.
I love that. That's interesting too that you found something to get from Aikido that I mean, because we can spend all day dogging on the people. They're not exactly doing a live training, and it looks ridiculous, but they certainly do fall well, and they certainly know.
They
Yeah,
fall incredibly. Like no one in jujitsu can do what they do. Like jujitsu people don't care about falling or rolling or break falls. Even judo people, it's a whole different kind of just goal. But I mean, dude, I've used a kotagaishi, wrist throw in combat jujitsu worlds. Like Aikido's got lots of good stuff to pull from it.
nice.
it is funny that it has the reputation that it has, but there's gold, dude.
Yeah, yeah. It's interesting because it seems like in almost all the martial art there are parts and like Bruce was trying to do. It's like, all right, let's figure out these parts that work, bring them in, and then yeah, let's let go of the rest of the any kind of nonsense that's being held on to. But yeah, people have discounted things too quickly, and it's interesting to hear. I like that you found something with that, and that's being brought in. Yeah. Yeah, so the judo, like I actually was not, I'd heard J-Flow of the name before, but I hadn't really looked into it at all. So that's kind of interesting. So are you like working with him, or there's like a system or affiliation that he's got going on?
Yeah, so I'm one of the founding affiliates, which is a huge deal to me. I'm super excited about it. I think right now there are seven official. I'm not sure, but um, yeah, it's like I've been teaching judo and I've been doing it for a long time, even before I knew of Justin. Um, but he is, I feel like he's doing what Eddie Bravo did,
Mhm.
with jujitsu. He's doing that with judo. And he does have clean systems and systems that by themselves are great, but they all kind of intersect with the other systems. And I am a system type person, that's just the way my brain works, I guess.
Mhm.
So it just really spoke to me. And I mean, I'm just trying to learn more. And it's just like you see a guy who does the things that he does, and you're like, well, I need to be able to do that. Like as a martial artist, I need to be able to do it. In fact, that's one thing I got into breakfalls for because I saw Lou Hung, who I got my green belt from, actually a couple years back. The way he'd flip in the air and breakfall, I'm like, okay, I'm supposed to be good at martial arts and I can't do that.
Mhm.
That's like unacceptable. So that's when I started really going down that rabbit hole. And then um, Justin, just again, the way he's doing it, it just kind of resonates with me. And so yeah, man, I get to be a part of it. It's really cool, and
Yeah.
it's motivating because I want to get better and, you know, uphold the name and all that because, dude's legit.
Sure. Yeah, I like what he's trying to do, but from what I was hearing about it, and I think, and just getting takedowns back into especially jujitsu gyms, I think is really important, and it's up until recently when I got here. I mean, I remember even when I was training, at more of an MMA gym, we didn't always spend much time on takedowns, especially unless you went to the judo class specifically. But if like in my jujitsu years, like very little time most places spend on takedowns, and a lot of it's because people were worried about getting hurt, whatnot. Which is fair, absolutely. And if you're not doing it right, and it sounds like though that he's definitely what you guys are doing is promoting a better way that should, help, actually teach us how to do things properly and not be such a risk to be learning takedowns.
I mean, oh gosh, absolutely. And by the numbers, dude, he breaks it down like how and why and when people get hurt,
Mhm.
how to avoid it, all these things. And yeah, man, I'm not just a sport jujitsu guy at all. It's just that's what I've done a lot of, and so I've gotten recognition for that. But like, dude, I'm a martial artist. I'm trying to do this because I'm trying to find truth. Ultimately, actually, I'm a truth seeker,
Yeah,
and so I'm trying to find all the truth in martial arts and all of life and
yeah.
all the weirdness going on in the world. Like, I believe that there must be objective truth.
Hmm.
Uh, I don't know if other people like that or agree, but like, there must be. Otherwise, like, what the fuck? This is just too crazy.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like, no, there must be something that we can all just say yes. And usually it's by the results, I suppose, by experience. And if you can't experience the results, then it's pointless, right? It's almost a logical fallacy. You
Right.
know, like when people are like, well, our style is too deadly to train. It's
Yeah.
like, no, dude, that's bullcrap, because also, you should be able to do something safely
Hmm.
or the most violent iteration of it, So
Yeah.
uh, yeah, dude, I just want to know. I just want to know.
Yeah. I think ultimately that is something I think most people who get dig really far into jiu-jitsu have in common is I think there's some sort of innate like truth seeking, and yeah, and it definitely spills out to a greater philosophy in life, but it's the physical combat art version of that, and jiu-jitsu just happens to be the art that mostly went to really what Bruce Lee was getting into, where that was kind of like, okay, let's see what works, and and it did really well in that realm. Of course, it's gotten distracted here and there, but I was wondering about that. I figured you were more on the side of like, okay, you're probably still, even when you're doing things that are just maybe just sport jiu-jitsu techniques, I'm sure you still have on your mind like, okay, if this was, a full combat situation, how am I doing things, or how would this apply or whatnot?
I mean, fully, dude. And not even, I do that when I'm playing disc golf. You know what
Mhm.
I mean? Like, I don't care what I'm doing. I'm like, okay, the movement is the same here as a back fist or a this
Yeah.
or they all tie together, and hips turning and the way your toes are pointing, like it all
Mhm.
goes to the same gosh dang thing always, you know?
Yes.
So yeah,
Yeah.
that's what I'm into.
It's good to be able to see that. I think, yeah, it's nice to be able to make those connections. And I don't know, I feel like I have a bit of an ability for that. Could have been the drugs, I don't know, but it's there. So I'll be thankful for it.
Straight up, straight up.
Yeah, that's good stuff. Yeah, I do wish I was better at actually applying that. I think that again, that's where I've always struggled, even just in like speech. Like I love to talk. I could talk for hours, but the things in my head versus how it comes out in speech, still working on that. That is such a, I don't know, for me, that is a difficult thing. I feel like I'm always trying to squeeze way too much into like a little like, filter here, and it is difficult, but yeah.
I struggle with that too. And what here's a
Mhm.
trick I try to use is maybe the words I don't say are exactly right, but if you can feel my meaning behind it, it's like the heart behind the words.
Yeah.
So because I get all up in my head about it if I sounded stupid or said something, whatever. It's just like, look, ultimately, I'm just trying to share something I care about. Maybe I don't use all the right words, but I'm trying, and you still know what I'm saying. You know what I mean? If not, I'm not a freaking Alan Watts or something.
Right. Yeah, I hear you there. Yeah. Speaking of that, like, at what point did you start teaching people?
Gosh, long before I should have. I mean, I was it's just that I had all those submissions in MMA. So where I lived, everyone's like, teach us jujitsu.
Sure.
Like, cool. And then I realized I didn't know anything. So
Yeah.
I was teaching people when I was a white belt, but I had 10 submissions in MMA. So what
Yeah.
does that mean?
Well, so,
Um,
yeah.
so I actually started teaching in 2010.
Okay. Yeah.
So a
So
long
that was
time.
pretty quick. Yeah, that's cool. Did you find that to be a fairly natural thing to do, or did you spend a lot of time figuring out how to be a better teacher? Because not everybody, there's a lot of people who are great at their craft, but are not good teachers at all. And I've from the limited time I've spent in your classes, I thought you did a pretty good job.
I mean, I like to teach. I learn a lot when I'm teaching. So,
Mm-hmm.
um, but I've also probably looked really stupid a lot of times teaching, said stupid things and done stupid things and
Yeah.
whatever. And sometimes you lay in bed at night and you kind of cringe, on some of the things you might have done or said. But that's just part of the process, man. It's like sucking, right? And
Yeah.
so it's not even that I like wanted to, I just had to. It's just what I do. I like to share what I'm into.
Yeah.
So I just end up teaching. My poor kids and my friends that hang. It's like you go disc golfing with me or you were throwing knives with me. I'm just like coaching, coaching, coaching. It's like, dude, just shut up and let me do this, please. But
Yeah.
I just like to. I can't help it.
That's good. Well, it's good that you were willing to, put yourself out there and do that. I'm asking partially selfishly because I'm trying to decide whether or not I really want to spend some time teaching. Like we have,
You
oddly
do a
enough,
lot.
yeah, which it would be interesting. I've done a little like I help out, I assist with our kids classes a little bit at the gym, and then at the adult classes, I had definitely have the option to because oddly enough, I'm probably like sixth ranked in the gym because we just don't have a lot of higher belts. So I actually do have more experience than a lot of people, and I might be helpful, but I haven't decided yet whether or not I'm really like, would I be comfortable or useful in that role? I know it would probably make my jujitsu better and I would learn more, but I struggle sometimes with getting up there and getting that spotlight on me. I think I'm a little too self-conscious, which I would like to eliminate so that I could just teach clearly and not be worried about what the hell everybody's thinking of.
But but that's what I'm saying though, dude, is like I am too. I'm self-conscious. And so
Mm,
what I've had to do is just be like, dude, shut up. That little voice in my head that's doing the
yeah,
self-conscious thing. It's like, I'm just gonna ignore you, because
yeah,
You know what I mean? You have to. You just
Yes.
have to. And because here's the deal, man. You know what feels really good is to help someone get better and coach them to a win. Bro, that's addicting. You know what I mean? Like that's a really cool feeling when you help someone do something tough. And
Hmm.
so when you take yourself out of it, that's like the self-conscious thing. You think about yourself, it's like, to think about them. Think about how you're helping them and your intention behind what you're doing, not so much what you're doing. You're trying to help someone.
Yeah.
It kind of like gets you off the hook.
Yeah. I think that's like a special jujitsu in itself is shutting up that voice, getting it to ignoring it, quieting it, whatever you've got
All
to do.
got it, dude. We've all got it. I've heard people that I consider, I mean, masters tell me that they have imposter syndrome. And
Uh,
I'm like, what? Like,
yeah.
no possible way. But they do. And so that doesn't go away, you know?
Yeah.
So don't let it slow you down because it ain't going anywhere. You
Yeah.
just no.
Good to hear that. Yeah, no, it's definitely. Oh, and speaking of that, where are you? So, what's your school now? You just moved to Utah.
Just moved to Utah. Yeah, it's
Hmm.
been a wild ride. I was in Alabama for 11 months and that's just wasn't the place for me. So I'm here now and I'm working towards opening a school and we are about to sign the lease, hopefully. That always takes longer than you want. Then we got some build out to do, but it's going to be called the School of Martial Alchemy. And um, because there's so much more than just it's not just about fighting, it's about learning. It's
Yeah.
about learning the deeper truths. We just use jujitsu to learn those truths, or martial arts. So that's why it's called the School of Martial Alchemy. But it's the home of 10th Planet Pleasant Grove. So I'm in Pleasant Grove, Utah, and we are a JFlow affiliate. So, um, even when I'm teaching jujitsu, I teach striking defense, like ground
Hmm.
and pound defense. I teach even basic striking defense standing, so and basic strikes because you have to learn how to defend the strikes, right? So it's a two-way thing there. And so yeah, man, I mean like we're doing it. We're gonna do it all.
That's gonna be great. I like that. That sounds really good. I was actually wondering to myself the other day, and I'm gonna ask. I've had enough of the old Hickson people on that I should have figured this out already. But I've been wondering, like in the old days, especially when they were teaching the Gracie just got, they must have been teaching some strikes at some point. I would have imagined because obviously, I mean, they obviously had that kind of forward kick to the upper thigh, like kind of or lower thigh, I guess, the knee area to kind of stop people before they went in for a takedown. Uh-oh, hold on a second. You just froze up.
We're having some technical difficulties, ladies and
Oh,
gentlemen.
good. I just spent like 2 days trying to get my internet sorted out over here because I tried to get a mesh system going, and my somehow Kira, my daughter, kept crashing it playing Roblox of all things. I was like, why is it killing my so I had to figure it out and get the system running a little smoother.
Weird. I have no idea what's going on here.
Oh, weird. That's right.
But here, while I work on this, I will tell you about what I think about the Gracie people is they did basic striking, but striking was never their goal,
Mm-hmm.
And so like I went deep into the striking world. And so like I'm a striker as well,
Yeah.
like straight up. And so, but no, I've never seen anything that they do to make me think like, oh yeah, these people are proficient strikers.
No, I didn't. It didn't seem like it. It seemed like they had a couple of things that I'm going, and I even, it's weird. I'm trying to think back. I'm like, I know that Hickson, when he was training for fights, I remember I've seen some footage of him training with judo guys. But I'm trying to think like, and I have to go back and rewatch Choke and everything, but, and I've read in the books. I don't know why I can't remember whether or not he must have spent some time just with basic striking, but maybe not, because I mean. It's just interesting because those guys were doing no hold barred fights, and it's not like they never punched. I mean, they did, but maybe it was just all right. We're gonna leave that at the base natural level of just being a brawler of just any old guy can throw a punch.
Exactly.
Yeah, yeah, kind of interesting.
That's what it looks like.
Mm-hmm. Is what it looks like.
Okay, we're back.
Okay, cool. So curious, how did you end up choosing Utah?
Well, I was actually born here.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, so I've just got deep roots, actually. I have a lot of friends and family. And in fact, my buddy I grew up with in Grants Pass, he moved out here,
Mm-hmm.
and he so my best and oldest friend, we've been homies since we were 7. He set me up with my wife, and they are best, and were best friends at 7. And so anyway, they like set us up, and so now when we hang out, we're all just best friends. But these girls, my wife and Mackenzie and Melanie, they grew up in Seattle, and they married a couple Grants Pass boys, and so we're all now out in Utah. And Smitty's my business partner, and he's just a high level businessman, so I can just be a high level jujitsu guy.
Nice. That's kind of good. Yeah, sometimes it can be hard to do both. I don't know. Some days I'm jealous. I'm like I wish I could just maybe just do, I don't know, run some gym or something like that and not deal with. I find myself like like I'm passionate. I built a business around what I was passionate about at the time, which was, yeah, MMA and jiu-jitsu kind of focus, which is great. But there are so many days I go, man, I'd rather be running like an actual gym where people are doing this than sitting around and fielding emails and dealing with producing products. But it's really in reality like what I have is great, and it's probably more. I'm probably better at it than I ever would be trying to run a gym or something like that, even if I had developed the skill enough to be doing that to start with. So, but
I mean,
it's
I got into jujitsu to try to avoid a regular job. That's one of my,
mhm.
and then one day I was like, dude, you just got to do the regular work. You still got to answer the emails, and you still got to do. I'm like, all right. I guess
Yeah,
at one point you just got to grow up and do it. But
yeah, there is some level of it. Yeah, I try not to get too annoyed at the parts of the business that I don't like because I basically created my own ideal career, and I'm like, and then I still find ways to sit around and complain about it. I'm like, I know I'm not working in a coal mine, but I'm still like, oh man, like all this stuff I got to do that isn't fun. And but no matter what, how great your job is, there's going to be some level of that.
wouldn't it be cool if you could just, I don't know if it's even possible to only enjoy something,
Yeah, yeah,
anything, right? Like eventually it's gonna change,
yeah.
and I
Yeah,
don't know.
I think even in your the deep into like something that you're super passionate about, whether it's jujitsu or something, yeah, like golf, whatever. I mean, there's always going to be some level of it that is work of some kind or something that you're not a part of it that you may not enjoy every moment of it. It's hard to like all of the journey. So I remember when I
I
talked to
guess that's
Duncan.
what makes the good parts good, though, is the bad parts in
That's true.
contrast, right?
Yeah,
So
you'd
I
have
don't.
to have that. Otherwise, there'd be no contrast and you would have no, yeah, feeling for it whatsoever. Yeah, I still remember I was talking to Duncan Trussell about that a long time ago. He's saying, well, the Zen master or whatever that he was calling, he's like, oh, yeah, well, sometimes you just gotta, chop wood and carry water. And I was like, yeah, but has he ever had to deal with filing taxes, this guy? And I'm like, it's fucking,
Oh,
it's so miserable. Like, there's
this
no way
kid,
for me to enjoy that part of the journey very well.
dude, that's so true. I don't know,
Yeah,
man. Because
tax.
that's when you know you're truly enlightened, when you're like doing your taxes and you're like, it's all good.
Yeah, yeah. I feel like that's the final level of mastery, perhaps. It is tough, or in really rough medical moments. I don't know. I had a kidney stone recently that had to be zapped out, and ooh, the hours and hours of suffering waiting before that was taken out were just that was some excruciating crap. And I've had a testicular torsion, and that still was brutal. Like, oh, hard to be zen in that moment. I'm like trying to use all my thoughts and like, oh yeah, yeah, come on, you can meditate through this. It'll be fine. You're good. And all I'm thinking is like, if you told me right now that, yeah, I mean, I figured out, I was like, this is how torture works. Because I would have given you just about anything to make that pain stop at that point. I would have given it all up. I mean, there would have been very few things that I wouldn't have done.
Yeah, no, when you want the relief, dude. Yeah, no, I totally feel that.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what you want.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know if there is. Can you withstand torture? Is that possible? Like, I don't know if it's possible.
Yeah, I
Maybe
wonder. I wonder if there are people that can get stoic enough and zenned out enough somehow that yeah, they could.
compartmentalize,
Yeah,
dissociate or whatever,
yeah.
right? Like just like detach. But
I guess the monks that lit themselves on fire, they figured that out for at least for a limited enough time to get done with it. That amazes me. I'm like, what level of control do you have to do that? Like,
commit, dude. Full
yeah,
commit.
yeah.
There's no going back.
Yeah, I think I just want to develop the level of being able to keep training until I'm yeah 80, 90, whatever through that. That's its own thing. So as far as like keeping safe on the mats and stuff, do you find especially as you're getting older, are you more careful about like positions that you put yourself in? And I guess you said in general you don't. It sounds like you're not the type to just be like the pressure grind, like, oh, I'm gonna, get through this whether or not I want to. You seem to be more watery flow around
mean,
obstacles.
I find more than anything, it's just about kind of listening to my body and not rolling it. If there's something like if guys are too big, I'm like, I not right now. You know what I mean? Like sometimes I will. I choose my roles. I don't need. Dude, here's the real trick. I swear we should only be rolling for submissions, maybe 20% of the time, maybe less. Maybe I can drill for an hour and a half with nonstop movement and I can get
Yeah.
because think about it. Jiu-jitsu is pattern recognition, right?
Hmm.
So we need to collect a lot of data so we can recognize more patterns, decipher more patterns.
Yes.
And so when you're always just fighting, you get less input, less data to pull from. But when you can find a partner that you build trust with, that you guys can just go and almost start going full speed, just don't go for submissions. And
Hmm.
you flow through submissions, and then you're just touching things and moving and move. And all of a sudden, dude, you're getting way better cardio. You're not getting hurt. You're getting more data. It's just like but we have this culture in America, and trust me, I'm a part of it, dude, because like I have been called pathologically aggressive, on the mats. But like, dude, you roll with some like Eastern European guys, they don't roll hard, but they roll for a long time safely and smoothly. And they never you never get that feeling like, oh, are we fighting right now? No, you're just like always just doing good, clean work. And, and don't get me wrong, I love the fight and the fight's important, especially if you're looking at it from a self-defense perspective or if you're trying to be high level in sport. But still, dude, like, no, I think the best work is just below that. We're going for submissions, but we're still going full speed, but we trust each other. That's the money.
That's very good advice and something that I know I need to follow. I've thought about it a number of times, but I still get caught up in like, you know what? Let's keep going. Let's get all the submissions. Even if I'm going with somebody who's clearly newer and I know I can take them. I still find myself going, I'd rather tap them 4 times this round than just flow through things, which is dumb because I like flowing through things, but I just don't. I get that little bit of that tunnel vision, like, oh, I should probably finish this just to make sure I can do that. But yeah, I think you're right. I think having more rounds where you're just, your movements and yeah, exactly. You're right. Gathering data. Yeah, especially if you slow down the pace too, because I definitely notice when you're worried about securing submissions and you're working on that timing to make sure you get that. Sometimes you miss a lot of things going on in the transitions, and I like it better when I can go back in my mind through a roll and remember what was going on, and especially where that's how you find your problems too. And if you keep ending up in a spot, recently I had to do this where I was like, okay, I keep ending up in a head and arm choke, and I'm like, where am I? And I kept from different people, and I'm going, all right, I'm missing something somewhere, and I realized I was just going a little too fast, and I wasn't slowing down enough to figure out, oh, it's when I'm in this spot, and I keep getting turned over, and so yeah, if you're a little more into just going through, yeah, kind of a flow roll. I think
I mean, the problem is that, there is just so much ego and I can't deny it, right? I mean, like
yeah, it's
I go into a place and I feel like I have a target on my back. Now, maybe I'm just projecting my reality on other people. Maybe I've got a target on everyone else's back. You know what I mean? Like
yeah,
maybe I've got to prove to everyone and they're trying to prove to me, but who's really trying to do what?
yeah,
And we got to take responsibility for it. And, and so again, I'll just tell people like, hey, I'm just being more playful today. You know what I mean? Like, but you can't say let's roll light because that doesn't exist. It's just
right,
like, we have to sometimes just be like, hey man, we're just chilling, right? We don't always have to go to war. It
sure,
isn't sustainable.
yeah,
Sure, these young guys can do it, but man, like,
yeah,
and I'm not even that old. I'm 37, you know what I mean? But like I'm
yeah.
starting to see it. And so I'm like, I want to try to get ahead of it before it's too late. Be
That's smart.
proactive about it.
Yeah, I still have a tough time because I forget how old I am, and until it's like the middle of the night, and I go, "Fuck, that hurts," But it's I'm almost I'm 49 now, and it's like, but I'm rolling with guys half my age, and I'm going, "Oh, I got to keep up," And I mean, I want to be able to keep up though, yeah, with technique and wisdom rather than trying to, duke it out with strength, cardio, speed, whatnot. But I do like my speed, so I don't like giving up on that because I've always been naturally kind of, I don't know, quick, and I just want to turn that into more of a timing thing than a straight up like run around you speed kind of deal. Yeah.
Timing is it, right? It's like balance, strength, flexibility, and timing.
Hmm.
Like that's athleticism, right?
Yeah.
And the timing is probably the hardest.
Yeah, yeah, I think so. It's nice though when you start getting that map down a little more in your head, it's interesting how the timing will it comes a little easier when you especially like we were saying when you can flow through different positions. It's like, oh, okay, well then you can catch that timing more because you're not hitting dead ends constantly like, oh, I was here and now I'm stuck. What am I gonna do? That kills all the timing. So, yeah, yeah. That's good stuff. So what? Yeah, what? Ah, trying to think of what else I wanted to dig into.
I mean, we could pivot hard and I get hella weird or not that weird or
Yeah, 'cause I know you're usually into like. There's always some things going on. Like I remember, I don't know, last time when
don't
I.
let it all out. You know what I mean? Like I'm kind of quiet about like some stuff because maybe I'm afraid to let people know how freaking weird I am. But dude, I mean, I'm trying to figure out what the hell's going on in reality and
Yeah,
what whole experience is all about.
yeah,
And I study a lot of different philosophies and
yes,
I guess religions, but I'm not religious at all.
hmm, hmm,
But I see the common thread in the religions.
yes,
Um,
yeah. I
and it's a
think
weird one, man. I think really what it is there's the absolute layer of reality. And from there's not really a conversation to be had because it just is.
yeah.
But
The
then below, there's the objective layer of reality, which is the one we are all operating in. And that's the one where the conversation is to be had, right? Like, what is going on here? Why are things the way they are?
yeah.
Um, but yeah, if you want to speak from the highest level of spirituality, I actually, my teacher told me, he said, spirituality is not transactional. If it is transactional, it is not spirituality. It is Well, it's transactional, it's self and other. You get something from even meditation, you get something from meditating. It is transactional.
Right.
Like, but the ultimate highest truth, it doesn't actually serve a purpose. It just is. And so I think I got caught up on that for a long time of trying to like escape suffering by knowing absolute truth. But then you realize absolute truth doesn't stop your suffering. It just
Yeah. Yes.
just is. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So right now I'm a little less in the clouds. I'm
Yeah.
more into the dual aspect of reality because the non-dual aspect is there is no conversation to be had, you know?
Yeah.
And so from the dual aspect of reality, um, have you looked into like or studied Greek Gnosticism at all?
A little bit, and that's an area where I'm a little light on it, but I've definitely, like you, I've studied a whole lot of different religions without necessarily committing to one. I've
Sure.
gotten close a few times, and every time I'm like, it's not quite. I can never subscribe to any one system, because I'm doing the same thing. It's like taking Bruce Lee's, I'm at best you could call me a Taoist just because that's kind of like, hey. The
Sure.
essential things, yeah, the Tao that can be spoken of is not the true Tao. We all know when you get to that highest level, there is no encapsulating that. And
So that's the absolute level. Taoism is the highest level of reality. It's where you can't name it, right? You can't do anything about it. It just is what is, and you can just realize that or not, right?
yeah, and like
Uh,
you, I hit that point where you go, well, I'm trying to pull some kind of game where am I going to escape suffering through that? And you have to realize that that's not, yeah, that is not an attainable thing right now.
it's like the ultimate trick of I can't even say against spirituality. It's like this. It's like thinking, oh, I have to do all this stuff. So you
Hmm.
become a monk, but then you realize while you're going through your monkness that there is nothing to do about this. So you kind of like you start as a normal person and then you become a monk, and then you're like, wait, there's no doing. So I can be a normal person again. And it doesn't make a difference either way. So it's kind of a full circle in
Yeah,
that. But Greek Gnosticism is not again a I, I don't know. I think it can be taken metaphorically or literally, and I think there is evidence for both,
Hmm.
or at least that it is literal. And it's it's just the whole like what the hell's going on, and we basically live in I'm just gonna say it, but it's again, and it's not. I don't. This is not what I'm saying. I believe, but this
Yes.
is an interesting lens to look at why things are the way they are.
Yes.
Dude, we live in a hell realm. We live in the dark realm,
Hmm.
and there are literal like crazy like there's a interdimensional battle of good and evil bleeding over to this physical reality.
Hmm.
But this isn't the only reality, and this isn't the only reality that like these things are happening on at all. They're all kind of interconnected, and why things are the way they are, because it's like something wants it to be terrible. Why are things terrible? I think it's crazy. It's crazy that things are terrible. What are we doing? You know what I mean? Like a normal human, they want what's good for people.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? So why is there so much bad happening?
Yeah.
And it seems to be, it's hard to not be a conspiracy theorist, but
Yeah.
you know, this goes beyond conspiracy. This is about like, dude, there's like dark shit going on that is like feeding off of negative energy, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
And I can't believe we're not all talking about it because
Hmm.
I mean, again, don't we want to find truth? I mean, is it can we find it? I
Right.
want to at least try, you know.
Yeah.
And so anyway, the Gnostic story has actually made a lot because I grew up Mormon, actually. I
Hmm.
was Mormon until I fully like let go of Mormonism when I was 21. But
I was
there,
a short time. When I was a kid, I was pushed. I'll tell you about that in a second.
well, I'm just saying, like, when you start to put enough of the weird myths and stories and legends and all these things,
Hmm.
you start to be like, wait, you're kind of saying the same thing and you're kind of saying, but in a sort of different way. And then you just realize we live basically in an inverted matrix. Everything is upside down from how we think it is, you know? And so all the people who are acting like good people, dude, I don't see them doing good stuff. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? And some of the people that mainstream might not call good, I'm like, well, they're at least very honest and they're not hurting people like these good people are.
Yeah.
They're not taking from others. So
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
with it all.
No, I think it's fascinating too, and I've definitely I've been digging into. I mean, I'm more learning lately about like traditional Greek philosophy, like Neoplatonism and just Platonism and Socrates. Digging back through that because Peterson has all these online courses now that are
Yeah.
that are pretty cool. So I signed up on his system and been going through a lot of things because I don't know I know a bit about modern, religion as different religions currently, but I hadn't really ever dug deep into like, the old Greek philosophy necessarily. I just been kind of absorbing that from down the line or Stoicism or whatever from people
So what
passing.
what is it? I mean, is it or was Plato a Gnostic or I mean, Gnostic just means knowledge.
Right.
Right?
Yeah. Plato definitely had, well, he's the one that's known for, and see, this is where I'm going to get into like, I learned a lot, but I cannot articulate or give you specifics very well. But yeah, he's the one, there's Plato's cave, which is the sort of like, yeah, I'm sure you've heard of that whole thing. And, that people are kind of, I don't know, when you mix the Platonism with Aristotle's taxonomy of like going from categories and going up and up and up until essentially you hit the one thing, the thing, and then the argument is it the thing that's not a thing that does not fit into these categories of things, the no thing essentially, but there's all these levels of basically opening up and understanding that are along the way to that or being
And
and
so from that perspective, is it there's the source of all, and then it just like trickles down through layers of reality, and we're at a certain layer of reality.
Right. It's kind of like, well, it's kind of top down and bottom up because it's like, okay, yeah, there's the connection. And then this is where I guess you could even relate it where like maybe Christianity is there, where it's like, okay, well, you have your kind of horizontal axis of where you're at in the world and how you interact with that. But then you've got your vertical connection going all the way up to, yeah, the source or whatever it is to God. And then where's your place within that?
Yeah.
And how do you how do you understand that or see that? And I think Plato was more of a like constant layers of you get out of the illusion that's in the cave, and then you come out and you basically it was like, oh, the sun, you're being exposed, and then generally you would come back kind of a la hero's journey. It was like, oh, you'd come back and then try to, I think in the original allegory, he like comes back and tries to tell the people in the cave what he saw, and they all think
The
he's
shadows aren't the reality.
right. Yeah. So, but there's just
And so
definitely.
that's the thing. We live, this is the shadow realm.
Hmm.
That's what I'm saying. Like, and
Yeah.
you, again, that could be a metaphor, or that could be like, however you can wrap your mind around that making sense. But I do think that Marvel, does a decent enough job of explaining the weirdness of reality and the possibilities, with the
Mm,
metaverse and all the different things like that. I think, 30 years ago, people weren't talking about the metaverse and
sure.
many timelines. And so it's just like, we are like collectively coming to bigger ideas and able and ready, I think, to talk about bigger things, and I think it's only going to get freaking weirder. I mean, I feel like everyone's talking about this stuff, but maybe it's just the circles I run in. But like,
Yeah.
have you heard of the telepathy tapes?
No, I haven't.
Oh, dude,
Oh, that
you gotta
sounds
check it out.
interesting.
It's about these nonverbal, this is true. This is all being like studied by legit people. These
Yeah.
nonverbal autistic kids that have telepathy and they can read the minds of their caregivers and the loved ones around them, but they can also they go to this psychic metaverse like thing they call the hill, where all these not nonverbal autistic kids can go and interact with each other in this whole other like plane. And they're doing all these crazy studies and finding these kids have telepathy, dude. Like things are about to get weird,
Oh, that's
And
interesting.
this lines up with some other very interesting things I'm into. And I'm very into this. This next thing I'm going to talk about. It's called human design. I don't
Hmm.
know. Have you heard of this?
That sounds a little familiar, but I haven't dug into that. Yeah.
It's basically like astrology on steroids.
Okay.
It's made of the it's a system of pattern recognition using the Hindu chakras,
Hmm.
the Chinese I Ching,
Okay.
Jewish Kabbalah, and
Hmm.
astrology. So it has all to do with planets and all this sort of stuff. And my wife, she kind of like showed it to me a few years ago, and I'm like, she kept talking about it. I'm like, what are you talking? This is some crazy freaking hoobadab. Like, I don't even know. Camera again. I
Yeah.
don't even know what she's talking about, and I finally make her show me.
I know I'm gonna appreciate this though, because you're good
Okay.
about getting into some of this deep stuff, but without being in like foolish and just super like ridiculousness, like conspiracy doubt. Because I know, yeah, exactly. You're seeking the truth and whatever you're getting into. So,
Yeah, look, dude, it's like I don't accept or reject anything,
hmm,
right? But
gotta
anyway.
evaluate it as it
So
comes. Yeah.
and the thing is, if you can't verify it, that's my thing. That's my whole thing. Is like, if it can't be put through the verification process, I don't want it. That's
Hmm.
stupid.
Yeah. Yeah. You just
But this human design, um, I have put it through the verification process, and I still am. It's never that's the thing. The verification process never ends.
right. Yeah. Well, science should never end. Yeah. That's why people are like,
Okay,
settled. There's no settled. Yeah.
exactly. And it's crazy to think that we're ever at a full conclusion, right?
Hmm.
But human design is again something that it basically talks about your chakras, and we all are different. There are different energy types and different ways we use our chakras and how they interact with each other.
Hmm.
But it can break down like, dude, how you interact with other people and how you can sleep better and how you can eat better. And like I've applied it to my jujitsu, and I got into this in 2001. I'm sorry, 2021. So for the last 4 years, we've been buying books and we've been taking courses. We've been studying this and applying it to our lives. And I mean, again, it's verifiable
Hmm.
experientially
Hmm.
and basically. But I am a skeptic, okay, big time. Because if I were to find if I were to find a hole in it, I'd be like, ah, there it is. There's that hole I've been looking for, but I just haven't found it yet. But when she first showed it to me, she's talking all this hippie stuff. I'm like, what? Okay, okay, fine. I'll read about it.
Yeah.
And it was like really clicking and it was really resonating, making a lot of sense. But basically, they have and all these gosh dang prophecies, dude. I grew up Mormon and I'm sick of prophecies, because none of them have actually freaking happened and it's really freaking annoying.
Yeah.
But it's a good chance to verify something.
Hmm.
So they say in human design that in the year 2027,
Hmm.
Basically reality is going to shift and be unrecognizable
Hmm.
from anything we've experienced.
Uh-huh.
And so I've always, and they say that, and you can look at this into this, man. This is some crazy stuff. But they say that there's basically going to be a new evolution of human,
Hmm.
and the next iteration is coming.
Yeah.
And so I've always been like, okay, well, when 2027 comes, if I don't see some really weird shit happening, then I finally know that these guys are full of crap.
Yeah.
And good, I used what I was useful, but I don't need it anymore because I don't, if it can't be verified or if it's been verified to be wrong, then whatever.
Sure.
But then when I hear about the telepathy tapes, dude, that's what they're talking about. They're talking, the whole like thing they say is that like this new type of person that won't function in normal reality the way we do as well, they
Hmm.
can do something in another type of plane of existence
Yeah.
or way of operating. And so the telepathy tape seems to be that, dude. It really does. Cause, and it's just the beginning, maybe, we'll see. I don't know. But with AI and with this whole telepathy tape thing and everything else, dude, just the spiral's getting tighter, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah. That's interesting and sort of encouraging to hear in a way. Especially when I was younger, I was always, wondering when our next sort of we're going to get to some breakthrough, some stage, something's going to happen. It's going to be, a totally different type of reality. And
It'd be disappointing if it wasn't, right? You'd be like, wait, life
yeah.
is literally just going to take this kind of like red or blue path. Like, no, there's got to be something weirder, you
Right. You
know?
think there's something, yeah, and especially, of course, when I was, dropping acid and mushrooms a lot, I was like, yes, of course, there's something's going to evolve. We're all growing third eyes. I don't know what, but it's going to happen. But it is interesting to see, and I don't know, it's definitely an interesting time, and it's odd because there have definitely been times where I thought, oh, never mind, none of that's going on, especially like during all the lockdowns and stuff, and I was like, nope, never mind, humanity's fucking ridiculous and we're not getting anywhere. But even through all that, and where we're at now, and there's so many interesting things. And even I found that even with AI, with all its weird problems and other things, it is making people, I think, consider and talk about some pretty deep stuff. Because I actually the most fascinating things I've found about AI is just that how sometimes how human it can be in certain ways. Like I spent some time talking to particularly Grok to just be like, "Oh, what's this all about?" And I'm like, "Wow, like I think oddly enough AI might be able to teach me how to be a better human," which is really weird. Because I not totally, but like in a we in just in responses and reactions in certain ways.
I think so, dude. I mean, yeah, I mean, I think everything's probably neutral and you can use it to, I mean, the fact that you're using it to want to be a better person, that says a lot about you, you
Mm,
know? So there's that. Everything's neutral and it's just like how you use it. It's your intention
yeah,
behind it, for sure.
yeah, yeah. There's like a
It
lot of
is, it
things.
is making us wake up a little bit and think about some bigger things, man.
Yeah, it is because there's definitely a lot of it's highlighting a lot of serious issues too, and it can certainly, like any of these tools, be used very, very poorly and make us into morons or whatever, or let us fall into our worst possible habits and other things. For sure, I can definitely see the Frank Herbert Dune route of like, hey, never make a machine in the likeness of man's mind because once you do, like, it's a slippery slope and you're screwed and you're going to become a lazy human being that'll eventually get enslaved by its own creation. I could definitely see where he was going with that, but at the same time, it could be an amazing tool that used in the right way, in the right hands, and with the right intentions. I mean, it's really just another interesting tool that we've come up with, maybe the most interesting one so far. I mean, it's kind of, I don't know, it's interesting, and like I say, it's making people think a little bit. So I don't know. I'm curious to see where it'll all go.
We're like perpetually at a fork in the road where
Hmm.
it could just go bad or it could go good,
Yeah.
And I guess it's like, which reality do you align with? I mean, like, imagine this. There's infinite timelines where everything happens,
Right.
everything, where we do have this conversation, where we don't have this conversation, where you turn left instead of right or whatever. Okay.
Hmm.
Every single possible experience happens. Maybe that's real. So
Yeah.
if every single thing is happening,
Hmm.
then does it also matter? And can we kind of shift from one experience to another because they're all kind of connected? Like, I don't know, dude. It just gets
Right.
weird. the more you think about it. And I can tell you, I don't have answers. I just have a shit ton of questions. It's
Yeah. I I
it's
hear
annoying.
you. There are times like I think when I started to re-obsess hard in jiu-jitsu, I've been taking just a slight break on the philosophy because I was digging in deep when I first got into the Peterson courses and I was like, oh man, I was getting way like and then I was kind of doing that in tandem with jiu-jitsu, which was cool and it was good, but I did get to that point of like, okay, I'm losing functionality, I'm gathering more, more thoughts and things, but I'm spinning my wheels like I'm not going to find God tomorrow because I took this extra course and got through Platonism that unlocked it, and like it's I had to go, all right, I'm going to go dig into jiu-jitsu again for a while because that is a nice hard functional reality of, truth because sometimes
I
I
mean,
gotta
dude,
chill out.
information is not the problem these days. It's
No.
implementation,
Yeah.
right? So it's like, and sometimes, like you think just because you're learning a lot that it's being productive, and maybe at some point it becomes counterproductive,
Yeah.
right? I mean, at
Yes.
some point it's like, okay, hold on, let me do something first instead of just keep thinking something.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm trying to figure out a way, even in like, and I guess I've done this in philosophy to some extent, but yeah, I was getting into the same trap that one might get into in jiu-jitsu, where maybe you're trying to memorize 1,000 techniques as opposed to like, okay, let's get some grounding and figure out how these connect and stay with the core, and then maybe we'll get over to that, thing. But instead, like if you can get, because you can get caught up in all these esoteric weird points, and the same thing when you're learning all this stuff. It's like, okay, I don't want to get too locked into one direction or another because it's just, I'm just gathering more and more, and I'm gonna eventually just drive yourself a little crazy trying to get through it.
Dude, are you familiar with I think his Instagram handle is like Zach Bush MD.
No, huh?
He's a doctor who he worked in hospice for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
He learned a lot about people and humans and our experience and what matters and all these things. And dude, I feel like you'd really dig what he has to say, because
That much.
there's information, but it's like information you can use. And
Yeah,
so, like, I don't know, something that pops
I
in
like.
my head that I heard him say recently is like something happens when you lay down on the ground and look up at the trees.
Mm,
You know what I mean? Like something
true.
like
Yeah,
like a physiological, a measurable thing happens in your body, and the ions and I don't know things that I don't know
yeah,
anything about.
yeah,
Jiu-jitsu guy, but
yeah.
things that sound like they make sense and that I've almost experienced. And so it's just like,
Mm-hmm.
connecting with nature
Yeah,
and because there is deep philosophy in that connection with nature or doing
yeah,
that, and so it's like you are learning, but you're also doing at the same time. And I don't know, you should, gosh dang it,
yeah. No,
you should check that guy out.
I'll definitely check that out. Yeah. It's funny some of the times when I've when I've connected like actually when I was digging into the philosophy really hard, like I would kind of make myself take these breaks in my if I didn't go and lay out down by the pool or whatever, I'd sit in my zero G chair and I'm like, I'd just be staring up because I remembered one of the things it always stuck in my head from when I was a kid. I'm like there were those moments of just laying down on the ground and just staring up at the sky and everything. And there's something that does that I think I've lost over the years that I think most people somehow just don't have. I don't know what it is, but it brings some perspective. I mean, it reminds you that you're on this, ball flying through space or whatever. I don't know what it is, but there's something about that. So that's interesting that he's, yeah, like somehow found a measurable
Oh yeah,
effect.
dude, he talks about how they measure, like they hook up your house plant or whatever to some sort of EKG. I don't even know what that
Hmm.
is, but
Yeah.
whatever, something that measures electricity, I guess.
Yeah.
And
Yes.
they tell you to leave and you go away and then the reading changes. But when they tell you to start coming back within, I think it's 2,000 meters,
Hmm.
that plant perks up. It turns on. It knows you're coming home to it
Wow.
and you are its caregiver. And so that like it
Yeah.
like wakes up. And dude, that's a
Yeah.
plant and that's a
Yeah.
long ways away. And it's like, dude, we are all, and this isn't just some hippie like nonsense.
Yeah. No,
We're
that
all
can be
way more
measured.
connected than we imagine, like
Yeah.
way deeper. And
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah,
know.
I think it would. I can't remember. Maybe it was Sheldrake or something, but he had done some work like that with dogs, which an animal was like, oh, okay, like, and it wasn't just that they would like that they would become active and aware more when their owners were coming home at the regular scheduled time every day. It was like even if it was offset or something, and you did
I can
something
feel
different.
them.
Yeah, which is really that's fascinating stuff because there definitely came a point in my life where I was like, okay, I used to believe in all that stuff, and now I'm like, oh no, the sad reality is none of that exists. Where
You gaslit yourself into forgetting that magic, dude.
yeah,
And so that's kind of like that's
yes,
kind of what I'm talking about. Is like that's I think one thing I love about martial arts is there feels something very magic about it,
mm,
in a
yes,
way. And like probably my favorite of all the Marvel stuff is Doctor Strange,
yeah, yeah,
and it's like that's what I'm actually in it for. And
yeah,
that's why I love philosophy, and that's why I love martial arts, and that's actually what I'm hoping for. I'm hoping for magic. I'm hoping for some cool stuff, and to be able to do things that we all were taught we can't do. But like, what if we can? In fact, here's something I've been on for a minute. It's like, here's what I believe. I believe that if I believed I could fly, I could fly.
uh,
But I don't believe I can fly,
right,
and you don't believe I can fly.
yeah,
So how are we ever going to fly if we none of us believe we can? But like, dude, if we are co-creating reality,
right,
uh, maybe we can change our beliefs
mm,
just to change our reality. And because there are people that there's too many myths, right? Like Peter Pan or Superman or just all this
sure,
flight. And I've had flying dreams. Like it's something that like deeply I've like flying. I've always wanted to fly.
yeah,
Like
right,
one time I was like 4 years old and I was supposed to be taking a nap, but my mom, she's like, I better check on Nathan. And I was making cardboard wings and I was going to jump off my balcony and fly, right? Like I always wanted to fly.
yeah,
And there are stories of monks who can levitate and all these sorts of things.
mm,
And all it takes is one person. It's like the four
yeah,
minute mile, right? It's like we used to think that it was humanly impossible to run a 4 minute mile.
right,
Someone finally did it. And then 2 weeks later, someone else
yeah,
did it.
suddenly, yeah, uh-huh,
You're telling me that something that had never been done
right,
all of a sudden within 2 weeks of each other.
yeah,
So it's like, all right, there's something to that belief. Like, no, I believe I'm crazy enough to believe I can do it. I'm gonna do it. And then it triggers that cascade of now other people
right.
believe it too.
Yeah, that's where it definitely it gets interesting then to wonder, well, where's the hard, is there a hard stop on that where you do hit a wall of reality where you go, yeah, okay, well, maybe all right, maybe it turns out monks can like, superheat themselves and do some other like interesting physiological things. But yeah, can we
But,
fly?
but,
Can we
but you're
can we do telekinesis? Like can we,
you're literally saying it though, because it's
hmm
using no limit as limitation. Right.
yes,
I've got it on my wall over here on a little medallion or whatever Bruce Lee says, the way of no way, or
yeah,
limitation as or no limitation as limitation. It's just like
right,
the moment we say, but wait,
yeah,
that's crazy. Well,
yeah,
that's when we lose it. Possibly.
yeah,
I don't know. That's what I'm suggesting.
yeah,
And so it's like, dude, having that childlike wonder and
yeah.
imagination of again, because we create our limitations.
hmm
We do. They tell us that, and then we're like, oh, that's nice hyperbole, or that's a nice sentiment, or a cool cliche, or whatever. But like,
Yeah.
maybe it's so much more literal than we all have the ability to believe.
Yeah.
Because from the day we're born, dude, we're taught that we are just this little body. We're this mind and we're this body, and you're limited to you, and you can't. All this like honestly stifling of like you ever heard the thing where they say like all like 95% of 5-year-olds are genius. And
Mm.
they restudy these kids at 10, and then there's like half of them. And then at 15, there's like 10% of them. You know what I mean? It's like, dude, our
Yeah.
genius gets beat out of us
Yes. Yeah.
through all the bullshit of society, through the bullshit food that we eat, through all the, the distraction and the
Yeah.
gosh dang hypnosis of
hmm
these gosh dang screens, dude. Like I know that I'm addicted to
Yeah.
my phone and I have a theoretically fully developed human brain. It's like these little
Right.
kids, dude,
Yeah.
it's wild.
Yeah. Well, there's something to be said about, yeah, having the mind of you know, of a child still, or having that. There's something there, and I mean, you could even pull back to Christianity. There's a quote. There's
I
some.
was about to say, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, that's it. You can't find it without, yeah, coming to it like a child in some manner. And yeah, that's definitely a thing. And I think it's a noble pursuit because even if you were to say, okay, like at some point there is some sort of a reality barrier as far as maybe not being able to fly just through thought, but if you stop there and you give up, well, then you never get like, let's say like an Elon Musk who's going to get into space development or something. It's like, okay, maybe somebody who believes in that goes, well, I will find a way to make us fly. Maybe they'll invent the first personal flying, device of some kind. Like that's where you get some human progress, and it might as well be magic at that point. I mean, it's you come up with something like that, some new technology that lets us do that, and especially now with technology becoming more and more like something that we might actually be able to, I don't know, perhaps, I don't know, synthesize with or something, that could get interesting.
Have you ever read the book Jonathan Livingston Seagull?
No, but I've definitely heard of that one.
Dude,
Recommend
it
it?
I mean, you can read, I read it in like just a few hours. It's really short,
Hmm.
and it was written by I think a pilot of some sort. So, there's a lot of kind of like jargon about flying
Hmm.
because it's about a seagull who loves to fly. He just loves to fly. And all the other seagulls are like, all they want to do is go out and catch fish and then go squawk on the beach. And he's like, guys, we should be flying because this is friggin' dope. And it goes from there, dude. And so, and it's a wild book. And there are other things that match up with it, like like the Tibetan light body, and how they say you can transcend
Hmm.
up and down. And then there are stories of like people who have done this throughout, these legends, like Hermes or Hermes Trismegistus or Melchizedek or whatever. Like Melchizedek is a really weird character in the Bible because he shows up in different timelines or like years apart that it's like, wait, you shouldn't be there. But it can like zip in and out of maybe if you figure out that time isn't linear,
Hmm. Yeah.
you can zip
Yes.
in and out. I don't
Uh-huh.
know. Maybe we are all just bound by the shackles that we put on ourselves of belief of time. Because, dude, you've even felt it like
Sure.
when you're miserable, time goes so slow. And when
Hmm.
you're happy, it goes really fast. So time expands and contracts,
Yeah.
like for however your heart is. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And that's a type of time manipulation, if you think of it. So,
Mhm. Yeah. My friend, late friend Entre Ali was, I think it was one of the things that he had mentioned about was that yeah, getting older. One of the great skills was the mastery of time in some manner, because otherwise, yeah, you're gonna feel like things are just whoosh, going. And I definitely feel it. The older I get, you just turn around, you're like, holy crap, I'm about to push 50. Like what is going on? But yes, that's a very. It might have just been an old subgenius rule. I can't remember, but but yeah, definitely a thing. And he was very much into finding a way to bring magic back into the world too. Felt like that had been kind of lost.
right. And dude, I think we're here to do some really cool stuff. I don't think we're here just to pay our taxes. That's
Yeah,
crazy. That's crazy to me. That
I agree.
that it's just like we just spend so much time surviving.
Yeah,
Oh, I mean, I don't think that's how it's supposed to be. And so again, I become a little conspiratorial, like, okay, but so why is it like this?
yeah,
Does someone benefit? It seems like there are people who are benefiting,
sure.
you know,
Does
whereas everyone who's paying their gosh dang taxes isn't. So,
Yeah, right. There's certainly, if nothing else, there are people that are taking advantage of it. It's like, yeah, you don't really need whether or not there's any conspiracy theories of that realm, it doesn't matter. It's like there's definitely people taking advantage of what's going on, whether or not they planned it out or not. So it's it's a thing. Yeah. And it is weird. It is yeah, finding a way to I guess, yeah, to get that alignment, find that meaning in life and the purpose where, yeah, it's not just the daily slog because it's so easy for it to get like that. I mean, even in my situation, like where I invented, like, got my company, invented exactly what I wanted to do and figured it out. But then if I'm not careful about I don't know, continuing that journey and that pursuit, it does turn into like I might as well just be working at the coffee shop or something because it can turn into a slog. And I go, oh wait, the whole point of this company was to not follow down this preordained path of just needless suffering and whatever. It's like I don't mind suffering, but I want to do it in a way that it's something I'm meant to do here. That's something that where it's really the pursuit of a higher thing. Yeah.
exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
No. And so that's so Datsu Sara, that means, doesn't that mean escaping from the corporate grind to do something fulfilling?
More or less, yeah. It was like I ran into it through Tim Ferriss because he was talking about it being used in Japan as, because over there they were very much, very like super career oriented to the point of they even have like, people that would literally just die from overwork, and there were that was not an uncommon thing, and so yeah, so it was like okay, yeah, basically escape the life of the salary worker, and usually what that also meant was like people who went off and decided, you know what, screw it, I'm going to take up farming or whatever. And yeah, at the time that appealed to me because I was, even though I was working a job that I mostly originally liked. Actually, even back then, I was running a video productions company. I wasn't working at somebody's office, but it's still. I got to a point where I felt like I wanted to just slam my head in the desk every time I started to do it, which was unfortunate because I used to love it. But I felt like, okay, this is not. I can't just keep doing this because that's how I make my money. I mean, I need to be responsible and offer something to the world. But clearly, there's something else, somewhere else I'm meant to be, something I should be pursuing that will bring something better to myself and the world. Is somewhere where I belong, and it's not this structured like, oh, you must do X, Y, Z and keep moving along because that's miserable. That'll kill you.
So human design, one thing they say about it is it's the science of individuation,
Hmm.
right? Because we live in a very homogenized society where you all have we all have breakfast at the same time and then have lunch at the same time and we work these hours and we sleep at this time so we can go and do it all again. But it's just like that does not honor the natural rhythms of our bodies. And dude, you don't treat a Ferrari and a Hummer the same way. You
Right.
just don't. That's crazy, but that's like how we treat ourselves in this
Yeah.
society. And so it's like learning how we all operate differently. And this whole like homogenized way of doing things
Hmm.
is killing us,
Yeah. I
you
agree.
know? And so it's like learning how to unbecome what you have never been and remain what you have always been.
Yeah.
And remembering what you are, that's what it's about. It's about remembering. And I think you can, like tap into that, like, again, like, what did you want to do when you were little? And what I wanted to do was probably be a Ninja Turtle. I
Yeah.
wanted to be a ninja.
That's
So
awesome.
that's why it's easy for me to just kind of like,
Yeah.
it's like, dude, I go throw knives or I do some archery or I go play with the bow
Yeah.
staff or I get better at nunchucks. Even disc golf to me is martial training.
Mm.
So it's just like, dude, I just try to keep that like 10-year-old Nathan alive. And 10-year-old
Yeah.
Nathan's pretty stoked about how 37-year-old Nathan is right now. So that's cool.
That's awesome. I think that's an excellent thing and one something we can all hope for. And I think you're right. I mean, I think I don't know, a lot of religion when it gets down to it is I don't think people always realize it, but it really is like finding yeah, your play. It's getting to find you, but in going deep and finding yourself, you are finding God. I mean, you are figuring out, yeah, where is that and what is your unique place that you should be. Yeah, it
What is
doesn't.
your purpose? We must have a purpose.
Yeah.
I
Hmm.
mean, and maybe the purpose is not necessarily defined. Maybe we are just fulfilling our purpose just by being.
Hmm.
Uh, it's hard to know, but like I definitely can tell you that if I'm supposed to be doing something, I want to be doing that thing. So I do want to align, but it's also interesting how when you align,
Hmm.
all of a sudden I'm like separating myself. I'm saying I have to align with something other than myself. And like
Yes.
that just perpetuates the feeling of disconnection. And I feel like if there is a thing to do, it is to remember the connection
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
the wholeness that always is. And so it's like, we talk about healing a lot. Like that's a big thing in like the spiritual marketplace. And it's like, I don't really like the term healing or medicine. I
Hmm.
like sacrament and
Hmm.
I like remembering.
Hmm.
I feel like those things take me out of a victim mentality
Yeah.
and put me into a proactive a part of it, you know? And yeah, I don't know. Just
I like that. No, that's an interesting. I like that way of framing that a lot more. Like you said, yeah, it takes you out of that victim point, and it is
I need
interesting
I
too.
need to heal. Well, that all of a sudden you're starting to like feel bad about how
Right.
you are right now.
Yeah.
And that's not a good place to start from. I think
Not
that we
helping.
need to feel.
Yeah.
acceptance towards what we are right now. And
Hmm.
that might, I think I've even heard Duncan Trussell say something like that, where
Yeah.
it's like the whole like trying to heal thing kind of keeps you from healing or whatever, it just
Yeah.
keeps it going. When do
Yeah.
you become healed?
It is, yeah. Well, 'cause then some people will I start identifying with that state of trouble, and then yeah, and then there's start. It's like when you get a psychological diagnosis, you tell some kid they're ADD or whatever. Oh, okay, well they're gonna be, oh, I've got this thing, and they get stuck in that rather than going, well, maybe you're having some things going on, but it's in the process. Like let's move and keep working towards where you should be. Then, it's yeah, yeah. So it's
But no one makes money off of healthy people. You know,
no,
I heard a guy say something that just hit me so hard, dude. It was like, if you were to reach like kind of like full acceptance, no one could ever sell you anything.
yeah.
Like if you were just good, and you're like, no, dude, I'm just good. Like, who could sell you anything? It's like this whole feeling of not being enough that makes us want to buy and try and get and do and
Yes.
because I don't feel enough.
Yeah.
And so I try to like, I'm trying to realize that in myself. Like, where am I doing things because I don't feel enough?
Hmm.
I don't know, just something interesting to ask yourself.
Yeah. Yeah. It absolutely is. Yeah. And it is interesting too. I don't know, some people can look at it. I usually look at it as a selfish thing, perhaps going off and trying to find your individual path. But it's funny how when you do that, you actually find a way to fit in. By going as individual as you can, you find a way to fit into actually the one great thing, the whole, you kind of, it all
Okay.
connects.
So, dude, again, this is the
Hmm.
kind of language they use in human design is like we started from no 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 codependence almost, which is like the tribe, like everyone needs each other
Yeah.
to survive. And then we're now shifted into a very individualized society, right? Like it's all about me and my shine and differentiate
Hmm.
myself from others.
Yeah.
But so we've gone from codependent to independent, and we're heading towards interdependence, which is like a collective of individuals, a tribe of individuals instead of a tribe of people who are being forced to fit the same mold.
Yeah.
And when we all become fully individualized, then that's when we can reintegrate, reconnect,
Yeah.
and um, collaborate instead of compete.
Yeah.
Like that's the thing. We need more collaboration in the
Yes.
world instead of all this gosh dang competition. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah. I agree. And that is part of the tough growing pains. And I mean, it's good to hear some of your observations because it's really easy to look around and go, man, everybody's become a complete narcissist. And this pursuit of all these, new age, like let's get out of religion has actually led to maybe more fragmentation and more people being lost. But I totally understand it because there's still so many that we can't, it's hard to go back and just say I'm going to fit myself into this particular box in this community and figure that out. But it's good to think that at some point maybe this is just sort of a growing pain and that we are going to come back together, reintegrate,
I
you know.
mean, tradition exists for a reason. It's just that tradition became like dogmatized. But like think
Yeah.
of this, because again, I came from a very religious traditional background.
Hmm.
Mormons they pray before every meal, right? And but when you go into a place of gratitude, your body goes from fight or flight to rest and digest. So it has a practical application.
Hmm.
It's got nothing to do with like this other god weird thing that's going on that no one really knows that you have to speculate on. It's like, no, this actually works. And guess what? Fasting is a religious practice. Come find out it's super healthy. Uh,
Hmm. Yeah.
there's a bunch of religious practices that are just practical. And
Yeah.
so if we were to take the dogma out of it and kind of see like the practicality of it, like, like having certain standards just keeps you from having to deal with certain difficulties in life,
Yeah.
So, but it's got nothing to do with like merit or demerit. It's got to do with, hey, these traditional values can just make your life a little bit less chaotic.
Hmm.
Life is very chaotic. So here are some things that this little checklist that maybe you can follow just to keep you safe and
Hmm.
healthier and happier. But it like doesn't have to do with whether you're a good person or not. That's the problem. It's like we're all so afraid to not go to heaven or to go to hell that we're doing everything to go to heaven or not go to hell. It's like
Right.
we are creating heaven and hell right now.
Mm-hmm.
And so when you do a bunch of crazy shit, dude, life gets weird and hard and complicated.
Yeah.
So, there is
Yeah.
practicality to tradition, big time.
For sure. Yeah. It's interesting because there's definitely a bit of a battle too between I think some people are waking up to at least to that part and realizing like, oh, okay, like yeah, there's a lot of use in this. And for some folks, that's meant attempting to maybe even return to one of those traditions. Like I got into Eastern Orthodoxy a little bit for a while and found some interesting things there because there was also they did a better job of keeping the mystical in Christianity. So they still integrated a lot of things that
Interesting.
I would say come from outside of what we would think of normally as Christianity. It was very fascinating, and I found a lot of usefulness there. But at the same time, I still ran into the same wall eventually, where I went, I can't fully put myself into this. And there's a lot of people like that. And then the critiques from the people who have gone over and said, you know what, there's fully wisdom, but you have to marry yourself to this one system. Their critiques, they're looking out at people who are, spiritual but not religious or whatever, that are piecemealing this, is that somehow in us taking these little parts that it's not going to work out, that it is going to turn into some weird narcissistic thing, and that it's somehow it's you'll never get the full picture. But I still have faith that that process, that going through this, finding the truth, and even if we are kind of like putting together this weird Frankenstein religion, of putting stuff that somewhere that is going to, maybe that's part of that next step, of our evolution, that somehow we're going to get somewhere with that. And I don't know. It's
Maybe instead of putting together more things, maybe what we should be doing is stripping away the things. Maybe we should go through
yes.
the process of negation first, like not this, not that, like neti neti, right? Like that's the Sanskrit, like
Yes.
get rid of it. And then once you're left with the blankest slate,
Uh-huh.
then you can start to add to it.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
that's what Advaita Vedanta is. It's sort of a Hindu, like I believe, a tradition from India that because Veda means knowledge and Advaita means
Mm.
non-dual. It's a non-dual end of knowledge. So it's like you go through the process of Buddhism, which is like, okay, I'm not this, I'm not that, I'm not this, I'm not that, until you basically reach the void, and then you come to existence, consciousness, bliss.
Yeah.
So the bliss part's the hard part for me.
Yeah.
Existence, consciousness, I get it. Like, so that's when you can start to say what you are, is once you first strip away what you're not. And then at the very core, like, so instead of finding what we disagree on, if we can disagree, let's reject it for now.
Yeah.
And what can we agree on?
Yeah.
And what we can agree on is that, well, the only thing that we can all fully actually for sure agree on is that we are having an experience.
Yeah.
That's it. So
Yeah.
beyond that, it almost is all pure speculation and belief. And gosh dang, it's hard to know.
Yeah. That's interesting. Oh yeah, that's fascinating stuff. There, it's funny. Yeah, that reminded me of David Bentley Hart. He's Eastern Orthodox. I don't always agree with him, well, especially not politically, but he's all over the place. But he's a very good philosopher writer, but he has the whole his thing is being, consciousness, bliss. And that's like what he kind of relates also back to the Trinity. It's like, oh, okay, so it's yeah, it's kind of neat. I don't know. It's been interesting. I've had the most interesting time coming back to figuring out what part of Christianity is still fits in with the rest of the truths that I've, discovered. Because I was very allergic to it for a long time. Because I grew up, I mean, I was baptized Catholic as a baby, and then pretty much, let's see, and then I went through Mormonism for a while because I had a adopted grandma. We'd basically call our grandparents, and they put me through all that. I had my little CTR
Dude,
ring and was into
wow,
it for
wild. Oh yeah, dude.
yeah, so there was that, and then I kind of rejected that, even though I was pretty young still. I was like, I can't, this is getting weird. And then my dad was Presbyterian. My mom married a Jewish guy when she remarried, so I got kind of pushed through a little Judaism too. So I
Okay.
was like, by the time I got out of all that, I was just like, I was so anti-Western religion. I was like, get the fuck away, and I thought it was all horrible. But then coming back to it after studying a lot of the Eastern stuff and Taoism in particular and a little Buddhism and whatnot, it's been interesting to come back and then also find Eastern Orthodoxy, which I think didn't drop their mysticism. So if you get into some of that, it's I'm like, oh, okay, it helped me figure out how to like where's the alignment of truth in what they've got there, and why did this, how did it even get there? I'm like, oh, this now makes some sense and I get it. So it's yeah, it's been fun. But I think you're right. I think stripping it away, I mean, it's kind of like what Bruce Lee wanted to do with the martial arts. Like, all right, let's get rid of all the things that don't work, and then maybe we get down to a
Daily
core.
negation, daily taking away the bullshit, trimming the fat instead of
Hmm.
adding more to, right?
Yeah.
But Gnosticism is Christianity. Like,
Yes. Right.
okay, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
and it's honestly been the I hate when things make sense because it freaks me out a little bit, I guess.
Yeah.
But it's like, dude, when I really got deep into it and started just like really reading it and really understanding, I'm like, wait, this is it's actually making everything that I ever learned through Christianity make more sense,
Uh,
but in a really upside down way. And
yeah.
that's kind of the freaky part. You know what I mean? Like, because basically in Gnosticism, the actual god or goddess is Sophia, which Sophia means knowledge.
Wisdom,
So,
our
right,
knowledge.
wisdom. So
Right.
philosophy means philo is love.
Love of
So Sophia, the love of wisdom.
right. Yeah. Yeah.
So all of a sudden I had to like realize like, oh, if there was like a deity or a god that made the most sense to me, it would be wisdom.
Hmm.
If you were to personify wisdom,
Yeah.
I mean, gosh, I don't think that anyone can argue that wisdom is good. Who can tell you that? Who could ever say that was? I mean,
Right.
Solomon asked when God said, "You can have whatever you want." Solomon said, "I asked for wisdom,"
Yeah.
and God's like, "Well, I'm going to give you wisdom and everything else too, right?"
Yeah.
Like, dude, wisdom is the thing. So that right now, hey, that right now is the thing that I'm just going towards is wisdom.
Yeah.
Whatever that is, I still don't know.
Right. Hey, well, that's that's part of the beginning of getting on that path is knowing you don't know.
They keep saying that, but it still
I
doesn't
know.
know a gosh dang thing.
It's hard, and it can become like
A
cliche or
paradox.
almost like
It's
you're
all a
trying
paradox.
trying to be too humble. It's like, yeah, I'm freaking Socrates. I'm just going to show up and say I don't know anything, and that's going to be wisdom, But it is true, I mean, you have to accept it. You have to be open to the exploration and the journey of it, and yeah, digging in. Otherwise, yeah, you will not learn anything. So,
And I did hear my teacher once said that paradox is the language of spirituality. And so because it's the thing that you can't say, but you can't not say it too. Here goes my
yeah.
cat doing its thing again. So it's it is that weird loop.
It is. Well, it's tough because yeah, I remember whenever I felt like I was the closest to finally understanding something, I could see how people go insane, or how they would have said in in Bible and other places like, oh, like when you meet God, it'll burn you essentially or something because it when you get that deep, it's almost impossible to come out and then explain it or talk about it, or and you could lose your mind because at some point you go, oh, I've grasped this thing, but I can never really grasp it, and I certainly can't really talk about it necessarily. But I mean, we all try to. It's obviously the Tao Te Ching's first line, then he wrote the whole book after that. So
And that's what I was going to say about Lao Tzu is he says, those who know don't speak, and those who speak don't know.
right.
That's what he said.
And continue. Yeah, right. So
I love it,
it's
dude.
like
I love it.
it's a perfect paradox. You're like, oh,
Yes.
okay, yeah. So yeah, it's an interesting thing for sure. Awesome. Well, I'm glad we got to spend a little time attempting to I don't know, paint a picture of it, or talk about it a bit. And
Jiu-jitsu and conversations like this are, besides my family, besides my wife and my daughters, dude, these are the two of my favorite things. You know what I mean? So,
yeah.
and they go hand in hand, and I just can't even help it. I just get into it, and it's fun and interesting, and ultimately, that's what it is. It's interesting, but I always just come to the same conclusion. Like, well, I got to go still chop and carry wood. So,
Right. Yeah. Yeah. In the
chop wood,
end,
carry
I
water.
know. That's why, yeah, at some point you have to just go, okay, all right, let's quit looping on all that too much and get back to just living. But that's pretty cool. I think you found a good way to sort of live your life and do the exploration and keep going on that
Hey,
path.
you're on the same path, dude. So it's badass.
I hope
It's good to
so.
reconnect and try to break down reality a little bit.
Absolutely. I love it. Well, thank you for your time, and I'm sure we'll talk again, but I won't kill my audience by going over 2 hours because I'm sure we could sit and ramble for a long time. So
All right. Awesome, man. I appreciate it.
okay,
Thank
cool.
you.
Hang out for a minute, and I'll end the recording here. All right. Thank you everybody for tuning in, and thank you Nathan for your time.
Better to have a short life that is full of what you like doing than a long life spent in a miserable way.